Don't be a douche.
That's rule number 1.
That is rule number 1, pretty much in life.
Hey, you. Where we going?
Off to the range, buddy.
There you go. So I'm with, what are we calling you, Deuce?
Deuce, that's correct.
I'm with Deuce, and we are going to, where? The range.
Going to the range.
We're gonna
day.
We're gonna shoot, but I'm not gonna bring it out because I don't want people thinking I'm desk popping. But we're gonna go shoot the 2011 at the range. So Deuce is gonna help me. I'm bad with secret identities. It's gonna help me review it and make a video and all that stuff. So this is on our way. But I figured since we have all this driving time, it'd be a good time for a different video for career advice with Deuce.
All right.
Yeah. But make sure, for the love of God, you just look at the road, because we're in a car, and there are at least 79 to 69 people that will make comments about your driving if you don't stare at the road. 10 and 2.
There will be no multitasking.
Deuce is going to tell us about how he became a fighter pilot and that story. And go. So I'll help you. How'd you become a fighter pilot?
So I grew up, happened to grow up near PE's Air Force Base at the time. I used to be an active duty Air Force Base. They flew F-111s there.
Nice.
Around Gulf War one time, so I always saw the jets taking off with afterburners, and we got sonic booms occasionally at our house.
That's frowned upon now.
Yeah, apparently, right?
Yeah.
But they always had air shows that my parents would take me to there in the summertime, so I always got to see like the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds there perform, and I always thought that was really cool.
The Thunderbirds actually, was that a recruiting tool for you? Did that inspire you?
I would say so. Yeah. I think as a 10-year-old kid, it definitely does.
Was it the Viper?
Yeah.
It's obviously the F-16.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So I got to see that as a kid, and grew up kind of with that in the back of my mind for what I wanted to do when I grow up. I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, but
yeah, whatever.
That's
we don't grow up. That's why you become a fighter pilot, because you never have to grow up.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So you liked the Thunderbirds, and you said, "This is my job."
Yep, that's pretty much it. So saw them, and then kind of made the decision there. In high school, so wasn't quite sure like how to become a fighter pilot. Wasn't sure how that worked. Nobody in my family had done it. Nobody that I knew in my neighborhood or growing up.
And YouTube didn't exist.
Yeah, YouTube definitely didn't exist back then. It was tough times. So
back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day. Uphill both ways in the snow with no.
You actually did have snow.
We did have snow.
Yeah, I didn't.
A whole bunch of snow.
I don't know anything about that.
That's
snow.
right.
That's
So I didn't know how to do it. So when I was in high school, Air Force Academy recruiter came to school and was like, "Hey, you gotta go to the academy and."
Did he say that? Did he say that?
No, he didn't say you have to, but he said, "Hey, if you go to the academy, like you can get a pilot slot." And it's like, "All right, cool. I guess that's it.
I'm in. Sign me up, sir."
Where do I sign? Then a week later, the ROTC representative came to my school and he said, "Hey, you can go to college and you can do ROTC and you can still get a pilot slot." And I said, "Well, can I still be a fighter pilot if I do that?" He said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Okay.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?"
Real college.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up getting a ROTC scholarship right out of high school, so pretty lucky there. Then I got into to college, and then
academic scholarship.
It was. So I was pretty lucky. It wasn't even. I'm a finance major, so didn't study engineering or anything technical. But still was able to get a scholarship at the time for that and move forward there in the ROTC. So, up to then, like my kind of hopes for becoming a fighter pilot were actually fairly limited. As you talked about in your previous video, there's always like the so-called experts, people that have no actual experience telling you, well, you're too tall. Like you can't fly jets.
How tall are you?
I'm just shy of 6'4", so fairly tall. There's actually a guy in the squadron that I'm in right now who's actually taller than I am. He's like 6'5" or 6'6".
And he wears the Jahemicas?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, the Hemet for the
Hemet.
for the,
My bad.
for the
That's
Block
right.
30.
You guys are Block 30.
Yep. So
the Lord's Viper.
That's right.
Yeah.
So people had told me that, like, no, you'll only fly heavies. Some guys said, well, you have to go to the academy to fly fighters, or you'll only fly heavies, kind of thing. So, and I was like, well, it's flying airplanes. Like that's awesome. I'll still try to.
Now, who told you all this? Was this during ROTC they were telling you this? Or?
No, these are like people that I worked with, like a whole bunch of like random people that, again,
no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my ROTC instructors was a major stoffer there. He actually told me something similar to what you talked about. Was, hey, if that's what you want, then keep pushing for that.
Yeah,
and
go get it.
Don't take no for an answer.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he told me.
Make them tell you no.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. When I was a young freshman or / sophomore in college, that's what the advice that I'd gotten. So that's what I pressed with from there. So moving forward,
how does ROTC work for the kids at home?
Oh, for the kids?
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's like taking another class. I mean, I had to wear my uniform like maybe twice a week.
Did the chicks dig it?
Chicks dig it.
Yeah, chicks dig it.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's another class that you take, and then one night each week we would do our leadership lab. Like march around and do the ROTC.
Did you really march around?
A little bit. Every now and then.
In college?
Yeah, it is what it is, man. But it was okay. Then between your sophomore and junior year, you go to what's called field training, which my time it was a month. Now I believe it might be 6 weeks, but I'm not sure on that. You have to fact check that.
Stuff changes.
But it was basically a month down at Lackland Air Force Base. It was kind of like our little version of drill training, our drill camp, boot camp.
Band camp. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the words. Those are the words I was looking for.
Band camp.
Yeah, it was band camp. You march around, you get yelled at.
Yeah.
You have the MTIs there, kind of thing. But then your junior year is when you apply for your pilot slot. So you can apply for pilot and nav your junior year.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing one of those two things, then you'll find out your senior year what you're going to do.
So junior year is just pilot or nav?
That's right.
Okay.
That's how it was.
Have you already committed at this point?
I have.
So you're in.
So I was in. Like I had signed the paperwork for the scholarship. Basically like your first year, if you're on scholarship, is free. So I could have walked in the first day of my sophomore year and been like, you know what, no thanks, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then it would have been no harm, no foul. But after that, if you want to get out, like you'd have to like repay your scholarship, kind of thing. You're essentially committed at that point once you go to field training. So following that, I was lucky, got a pilot slot there in my junior year. Had 4 of us that got pilot slots. One of us got a nav slot. Good friend of mine there, he actually went on to be a navigator, and then he went to pilot training later. So that worked out for him. Yeah, so now he's flying C-130s and doing really well.
So yeah, it's not the end of the world. You can always.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
That's absolutely correct. So following that, you commission your right after you graduate, essentially your senior year.
Yeah.
There. And in my time, like this has changed.
Back in my day,
like I only had like 20 hours of civilian flying. Like I flew like J3 Piper Cubs at right at like this
on
civilian,
your own or part
on
of
my own,
okay,
on a grass trip, which was really just me making sure that I really liked it. And of course I did. I was hooked.
Yeah.
At that point, but I didn't have the private pilot's license or anything like that to help boost your scores with your test for the pilot slot. Like I didn't have any of that. So after that, I went to what's called casual status. They used to send guys after they graduated, if they couldn't move you right into a pilot training class, that they would move you to a base and you'd hang out for upwards of almost a year, hang out, and then go to UPT. So from there, I went to Nellis Air Force Base.
Yeah.
I worked in the 6th Combat Training Squadron, and they do the air-to-ground kind of course, JTAC qualifying course. So kind of got an inside look to a little bit of what close air support was like. Obviously, after that, we went to good old Vance in Enid, America.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sure shit.
Where I met you there for pilot training.
We went to pilot training together. We were 0710.
0710.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so
world famous G flight.
World famous G flight.
Home of the G flight.
And so got through T6s, and partially thanks to you.
Hey man.
Yeah.
So
how it goes.
That's pilot training, right? It's cooperate to graduate.
Absolutely.
You know, it's probably its own video, but wouldn't you say you learn the most by teaching others?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Without
helping
question.
your bros will help you, because we went to the Sims every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and we had a buddy that was struggling, and we were in the parking lot. Remember we were doing the pattern
That's
in
right.
the parking lot?
Exactly right.
Trying to help one of our bros get through.
Yep.
And we learned it. I mean, that helped us.
Yep.
Succeed.
You made it through, and we learned how to be better, and it was good.
Yeah. What do you think the hardest part of T6s was?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Landing.
Landing's a challenge.
That was the hardest part for me, actually. When it got to formation, like that went pretty well for me, and the instrument part for me, I thought instruments to me, it's all like take the procedure, apply the procedure.
Yeah.
You know, it seemed pretty simple to me. Their stand-up, of course, though, was always challenging. That's probably a separate video in and of itself.
Stand-up sucked. But, so, I mean, I was there. T6s, you did really well. You and Tuna were our two fighter guys, right? And I was a reserve guy, so...
Yep, exactly
so
right.
You two were... We had two, right? Is that all we had?
That's right.
Yeah.
So...
Leaner times back in the day.
Is what it is. You know, so move forward to T-38s.
Yeah.
And so you talk about a little bit of adversity, so... I remember at the beginning of T-38s, we had to go to the centrifuge.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. So you go through a few of the warm-ups at 5Gs, you know, kind of figure that whole thing out. And then I remember doing specifically 7.5 Gs for 10 or 15 seconds. It was 15 seconds, I believe. You know, and gutted through it and did okay. And then they're like, all right, so here's your last one. It's going to be check 6, so meaning that you need to look over behind you, simulating that you're defensive in a dogfight, and it's going to be only 6 Gs for 10 seconds.
Did you tell him I'm never defensive? That's before you knew that.
Yeah, that's before I knew better, right? Only slightly less offensive. So anyways, I kind of internally almost scoffed it a little bit, because I just got through 7.5. No big deal. Like I was feeling King Kong. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so I don't even do like a full prep, full G strain, anything like that. And all I do is I pull back. I'm like, let's go. And I pull back on the stick. And then the next thing that I remember is the guy that's running it over the intercom, he says, hey, you okay? And I'm like,
yeah, I remember watching.
Yeah, I just eased off. I'm like looking around like,
oh no,
what just happened?
Oh no.
like honestly, I felt like I had just taken like a
really
full night's sleep, really good nap. You know, I felt well rested, albeit I didn't quite know where I was at the time. Yeah. And he's like, you G-locked. And I was like, yep, that just happened.
G-induced loss of consciousness. Blood leaves your... We talked about it in the G-force video.
Absolutely. So great thing, in my opinion, to actually do in the centrifuge to see what that's like, so that you can recognize the signs when you're actually flying. But so that happened. And then because of that, my flight commander was a little bit nervous about me going to a fighter. So he had introduced the option of like, hey, like what about like being a FAPE or this, that, the other. I didn't really want to do that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I wanted to go to a fighter. I wanted an F-16. So he's like, all right, man. So, you know, just kind of worked through it, did a lot more squats. Thereafter.
We went to the gym.
That's right, to work on that.
Sprints and squats.
That's right, to build up the old G tolerance. And then, you know, went back to the centrifuge at the end of pilot training there for the F-16. Did the full 9G profile.
Oh, that thing sucks.
But I was able to knock it out in one time. So
yeah, good on you, man.
It is what it is.
That wasn't the only adversity. You mentioned this in a comment for another video. In T6s, when you first started, you were a little worried about getting sick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry, go. So, go back to T6s. So, in my dollar ride, so for the kids at home, for the kids. That's your first ride.
Yeah.
So
you give them
the
$1.
instructor's still in the back seat.
Yeah.
And he basically like shows you around, but he flies like a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, so anyways, we get back to the pattern. He's showing me the pattern and showing me like the landings, and that's when I just lost it. I threw up.
Oh God.
It was not good.
I'd be a sympathy puker.
Yeah, so I threw up in the airplane.
In the plane?
In the plane.
Like,
not like all over the plane, like in the bag.
Okay, all right.
I got it in the bag.
I was gonna say, because I haven't heard this story. If that's
no, but I was in the plane. So.
Okay.
You know, so got it in the bag, but after that I was like a little bit nervous, and so the recommendation of you actually.
Yeah.
Went to Walmart. Got some ginger pills.
Yeah.
So
ginger root extract.
Yeah, ginger root extract. So I popped like 2 to 3 of those like before I go fly to help settle my stomach out, and it worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. You think that's placebo?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean a sidebar, but you know we talk about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I didn't need to go to the spinny chair though.
Yeah, the spinny chair sucks. They made us do that. I think the fuge got me sick.
Oh yeah.
All right, so finish that. You went to IF.
Yeah, IFF.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
Really?
No. Not good.
No.
No. So I went to Shepherd.
Yeah. Oh God.
For IFF. So I went from Vance down to.
This is back before the bases had IFF. I went to Randolph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went down to Shepherd, and things were going pretty well. When I happened to fly on a particular ride, I believe it was high aspect. Was that about the last ride there in the course? Pretty sure it was high aspect.
High aspect and then BSA.
I think I'd already done BSA. I feel like it was high aspect.
Okay.
Maybe it was my last ride there. So doing that, and I mess up, and I forget to do my flight control check. Like you do it like once, like taxiing out, but then you do it again in EOR kind of thing. So that IP in the back says, "Hey man, are you forgetting anything?" And I says,
"No." What's your question?
No. Clearly I am, but I don't know what that is right now.
Yes.
So I mean, like things have gone like pretty well up to this point, but I'm supposed to like graduate like the next day.
Oh shit.
So I busted that ride.
Oh.
So got to do it again. So I went to like the little graduation ceremony, but the next day I flew with my flight commander. Did well. It was fine.
Okay.
It was okay, but like that part of IFF wasn't good. Anyways.
What is IFF for the kids at home? What's the point of it?
That's intro to fighter.
I actually don't even know either.
That's a great question. So, so it's the introduction of fighter fundamentals.
Pretending to be tactical in
T-38. So what you do is it's to bridge the gap between UPT and the B course, and then being out in the CAF, the Combat Air Force. So the theory behind it is you change the mentality from a little bit of Mother May I there in UPT, where instructors are kind of holding your hand a little bit more, to being able to kind of make decisions more on your own.
Single seat mentality.
That's right.
Yeah.
Single seat mentality.
Unless you're in the Strike Eagle. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, the idea behind it, like you learn how to do like the BFM, the basic fighter maneuver kind of setups that you'll do. They're all pretty similar, like how to get in formation quickly, and then how to start the setup. So IFF is like anything else, like in UPT up to this point. You know, it's a cooperate to graduate kind of mentality. So then, following that, went through survival school, both land and water survival. Did that, and then I went to Luke Air Force Base.
Yeah.
There. So, anyways, go to Luke, and actually Luke went pretty well. So got to go to Spangdahlem after Luke. So wife and I went to there to Spang. Got to deploy 3 times there, which was pretty cool. So I went to Iraq twice, and then was part of the first night of operations for Libya, which was a really cool experience to be a part of.
In the Wild Weasels.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in the Block 50 F-16s.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
what was your favorite mission in the Viper?
Seed.
Absolutely. And that's what is seed?
Suppression of enemy air defenses. So that's going out to either help people to avoid, disrupt, or destroy SAMs or components within the IADS,
Nice.
the integrated air defense system there.
So, your F-16 career, I mean, did you progress fairly quickly, or?
It was. So I was pretty lucky. I had a really good group of bros, good leadership there.
Now, when you say bros, you
And
mean,
chicks.
Yeah.
And chicks.
Bro, I always say this to make sure everybody knows.
That's right.
Bro is a gender neutral term.
That's right.
Right?
People in the fighter squadron.
Yeah.
Fellow fighter pilots,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
So, really good group of people there that I worked with.
Persons.
So I got to go through the flight lead upgrade there. And actually I was able to also start my instructor upgrade while I was there at Spang. Following that, went to Kunsan. Was there, got to go to the JUVAT. So Kunsan, for the people at home that are not familiar, Kunsan has the best fighter squadron rivalry in the DoD, like period.
JUVATs
between the JUVATs and the Pantons there. So I got to be in the JUVATs, got to finish my instructor upgrade, got to be a flight commander there. It was an awesome experience. After I finished the IPUG, or the instructor upgrade, I got to put in a package there to apply for weapons school.
Oh, yeah. That's like Top Gun for the Air Force, right?
That's right.
Except better.
Well, theirs is like 5 weeks, ours is like 5.5 months. So it is what it is.
I'm not good with math, but that seems like more.
So I was told at our hooch on Friday by a squadron commander. He says, "Hey, we got good news. Deuce is going to weapons school." I'm like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And then on that Sunday, I got a knock on the door. And I open the door, and it's my squadron commander. I'm like, "Sir, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey, Deuce, your weapons school class is canceled." I'm like, "What? How's that a thing?"
Yeah, no.
You're kidding, right? Like,
Right,
you guys like felt bad, and then like took me out of weapons school. Like, what happened here?
Did I screw it up this fast?
What did I do Friday night?
Did I G-lock again?
Yeah. What happened here? And so they actually canceled a class for the sequester. That's what happened there.
Thanks, Obama.
13 Bravo was canceled.
Wow.
So
13?
That's right.
That's how long
13
it's
Bravo.
been?
That's right.
Jesus Christ, we're getting old.
So because of that, we got grandfathered into to 14 Alpha. So I went from Kunsan to Shaw Air Force Base there. So back to the Block 50, which was great. And then I got to go to 14 Alpha for weapons.
So that's a year, right? The
That's right.
14, that's the year number, 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
Okay.
so 2 classes a year. One starts at the beginning of the year, one starts mid-year. Pretty
And so
simple.
you went to weapons school.
Went to weapons school, and
How was that?
it was awesome. So just like everything before, it's a group effort, not only in the 16th there, the F-16 weapons school, but with everybody else during the integration phase. So you can all learn from each other there and learn how to work together.
You're gonna go right up here.
So weapons school actually went pretty well.
What's the hardest part of
Never
weapons
feels
school?
like it during the time, though. Hardest part of weapons school for me. So I think the hardest part for me was probably when we got to the mission commander stuff. Because wasn't really used to doing that as a seed guy.
Which means what for?
So being overall in charge for planning and execution for an entire mission. So that can consist of, I don't know, 40, 50 jets, depending on how big it is, what you're working with, what kind of big of an exercise it is. When we're starting off, though, it's only 8 jets. So it's 4 ship of guys that are striking targets and a 4 ship of guys that are doing seed. So I had a little bit of growing pains there, but not too bad. So the night of graduation, all the families come out. So there's patch night, which is your real graduation, but then there's graduation, which is for your family essentially. That whole kind of ceremony, just like at pilot training. So they're out, and then the squadron commander later that night, he stopped by my table and he said, "Hey, I'd like for you to come back to be an instructor."
Just like Top Gun.
Yeah.
Where was it?
So
Were you playing a song on the jukebox?
There was no song being played on the jukebox, my friend. No, there wasn't. But I was privileged enough to be able to go back and be a weapons school instructor. So that was pretty cool. What was really cool was that when I was at Shaw, I flew a lot of, because when you're the squadron weapons officer, one of the things you do when you're home station, as a chief instructor, is you're going to be the primary IP for guys that are going through the instructor pilot upgrade. So got to put a lot of guys through the IPUG. Nice. And pretty much a lot of those guys got to go to weapons school, and a lot of them are actually back now at the weapons school teaching. So
wow, so you've taught the teachers who've taught the teachers who've taught the teachers.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So
the 6 degrees of Deuce.
It's just a overall great feeling of accomplishment. Not really in what I've done, but seeing the guys that I put through upgrades or have taught academics to, and seeing like what those guys have done both in training and in combat is pretty cool. Whether it's getting them ready for weapons school or getting them ready for combat deployment, and it going well is very highly rewarding.
All right, so last 2 questions.
Go with it.
Go with your data. What is the coolest thing you've ever done on a military aircraft?
I'd say that my best, the sortie that sticks out to me the most, to be honest with you, is the first night of Libya there. So we took off from Spangdahlem to provide seat support, some Strike Eagles and some other great Americans there when, the city of Benghazi is being shelled essentially by their own people. So we're going there to stop it.
That wasn't a Benghazi.
No, that happened later. This was
before that. Okay.
Yeah, early March in March of 2011.
Okay.
There is when this went down. So actually, I was on leave initially and got a call from my flight commander. He says, "Hey, Deuce, where are you?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm on base. What's up, man?" And he's like, "You need to come to the squadron immediately." So we go to the squadron. It's ghost town. Like nobody is out in like the outside of the vault. So I go back into the vault and everybody's back there, mission planning. I'm like, dudes, what's going on? They're like, yep, Libya, 2 nights, we're going. You're flying with me. I'm like, all right, flight's on, let's do this.
Oh yeah.
So got to take off from Spangdahlem then. So the squadron commander is number 1. Buddy Trace is number 2. Buddy Link, who I'm in the same squadron with now, actually is number 3, and I'm number 4 in this particular formation. So it's the clearest night that I've ever flown on in my life. We're flying down through France. They're all kind of like cheering us on over the different ATC freaks because they kind of know what's going on.
The Frenchmen?
The Frenchmen. Then we get there and fight our vol, and then the tankers didn't show up. They were late. So we ended up all diverting to Sigonella. So single runway there. There's thunderstorms that are surrounding it now at this time. So we kind of like poke our way through. We land, and then of course everybody that just flew diverted there. So we're there. The Strike Eagle guys are there. Growlers are there, and it's amazing. We all get out of the jets, all high five each other. So we go to the hotel. So we have to go off base because everything on base is all booked up. So we go to this, Italian kind of hotel. We go to like the bar area, and we flipped on CNN. And this was reporters talking like, "Oh, the Americans still haven't gotten involved in operations in Libya," and it's like,
that's me.
Okay, yeah, that's fake news apparently. Yeah.
But so this is after you'd already done all the.
This was at like 6, 8 a.m. Somewhere in there. So.
All right, so. Last question, because we're about to get to the range and, America.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody who's a young kid, high school, wanting to become a fighter pilot, doesn't really know what to do yet, doesn't know how? What advice do you have for an aspiring young fighter pilot?
I'd say to keep working hard. So keep working hard in school. Getting your grades up is probably the best things for a young high schooler to do. So that's what you can do there. As far as the actual part of ROTC, or hey, do I go to the academy? Do I do OTS? Do I go to a guard or reserve unit? That's kind of up to you. So Either way, it's a way that you can skin that cat. But don't give up is really what I'd say there. The things that I tell guys they're in an upgrade. Number one, don't be a douche.
That's rule number one.
That is rule number one, pretty much in life. And number two is to work hard. And number three is to help guys and gals get better.
Okay.
That's it.
Help your bro.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good advice.
If you think about it, like, like since we're going to like the gun range, like gun safety, like 101, like treat every gun like it's loaded, and like the other rules, like so long as you do like that rule, like the other rules like follow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like don't be a douche.
Yeah.
Like everything else will follow.
That's true. That's true.
And that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. I just gave 3 rules in my last video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which could have all been summed up with, don't be a douche.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
In the weapons school, like what we preach is being humble, approachable, and credible. But for a young guy, like I think like those 3 things, like stick to that.
I think you can strive towards humble, approachable, and credible.
Absolutely.
Like from the beginning.
Yes.
Like you can just start with living that way from the beginning. Well, dude, thanks for your story. I appreciate it.
Yeah, brother.
Let's go shoot.
Let's go do that.
Yeah.